Captain Jai-Ho Park stood at the window of the Earth exploration vessel Companion, watching the alien ship grow larger. His hand rested on Dory's head, his golden retriever service dog who had been with him through countless missions. The dog's warm presence helped him stay calm during this historic moment. "Captain, the Nexeri ship is requesting permission to dock," said Lieutenant Kim from her station. Her voice was steady, but her eyes showed excitement. "Grant them permission," Jai-Ho said. He looked down at Dory, who wagged his tail. "Well, old friend, looks like we're about to make history." The docking procedure went smoothly. Jai-Ho watched the screens as the two ships connected. Dory sat quietly beside him, trained to stay calm during important operations. The crew waited as the airlock pressure equalized. When the door finally opened, 3 tall, blue-skinned aliens walked onto the bridge. They wore silver suits that seemed to shimmer in the light. The middle one stepped forward and raised both hands in what seemed like a greeting. "Welcome to the EEV Companion," Jai-Ho said with a small bow. "I am Captain Jai-Ho Park of Earth." The alien in the middle spoke, their words being translated through the ship's computer. "I am First Speaker Do-Ra of the Nexeri Collective. We are pleased to make first contact with your species." Everything was going well until Dory, sensing his master's lingering nervousness, stood up and pressed against Jai-Ho's leg in a trained comfort response. The reaction from the aliens was immediate and shocking. All 3 Nexeri jumped back. Their silver suits flashed with patterns of light, which the translation computer later explained was a sign of extreme surprise. "Captain Park," First Speaker Do-Ra's voice rose sharply. "There is a wild animal on your bridge." Jai-Ho blinked in confusion before understanding dawned on him. He placed his hand on Dory's head to reassure both the dog and the aliens. "This is not a wild animal. This is Dory, my service dog and companion. He is trained to help me and is a valued member of our crew." The aliens' confusion only seemed to grow. They huddled together, speaking quickly in their own language. The translation computer caught fragments like "impossible" and "dangerous." Finally, Do-Ra stepped forward again, though he kept glancing nervously at Dory. "You mean to tell us that this creature is not only allowed on your ship but serves a purpose, and you trust it near your equipment, near your people?" Jai-Ho nodded. "Humans have lived with dogs for thousands of years. They're our friends, helpers, and family members. Dory here is specially trained to help me manage stress and anxiety during long space missions. He's as much a part of this crew as any human." The Nexeri were fascinated. They asked permission to scan Dory, which Jai-Ho granted. Their devices showed them what they couldn't believe. The dog's brain patterns showed clear signs of domestication, training, and emotional bonds. "In all our exploration of space," Do-Ra said slowly, "we have never encountered a species that turned other animals into friends. We either avoid them or use them for resources. The idea of sharing our ships, our homes, our lives with them." He trailed off, watching as Dory gently took a treat from Jai-Ho's hand. The rest of the meeting was supposed to be about trade routes and diplomatic relations. Instead, the Nexeri had endless questions about Earth's animals. They wanted to know about dogs, cats, horses, and all the other creatures humans had befriended over the years. As the day ended and the Nexeri prepared to return to their ship, Do-Ra turned to Jai-Ho. "Captain Park, I believe we have discovered something more valuable than any trade route today. Your species has achieved something unique in the galaxy. You have learned to make friends across species barriers. Perhaps you could teach us." Jai-Ho smiled and patted Dory's head. "We would be honored to share this part of human culture with you." As the Nexeri left, Jai-Ho looked down at his faithful companion. "Well, Dory, looks like dogs are going to help us make friends across the galaxy too." Dory just wagged his tail, happy that his human was happy, unaware that he had just helped change the course of galactic history. Science Officer Yunmi Kim sat in her office aboard the Companion, reviewing her notes on Nexeri society. Her therapy dog, A gentle brown Labrador named Milo lay at her feet. 3 weeks had passed since first contact, and she had made some interesting discoveries about their new alien friends. "Computer, add new entry," she said, speaking clearly. "Nexeri Cultural Observation Day 22. Their society has amazing technology, but they seem to miss the joy of having animal companions. They view all other creatures as either useful resources or potential threats. Nothing in between." She looked down at Milo, who lifted his head at her movement. "They're missing out on so much, aren't they, boy?" A soft chime announced a visitor. "Enter," Ianmai called out. The door slid open, and a Nexeri scientist named Rayu walked in. She stopped at the doorway, still not completely comfortable with Milo's presence. However, after several visits, she no longer jumped at the sight of the dog. "Good morning, Dr. Kim," Rayu said. "I came to observe today's therapy dog training session, if that is acceptable." Ianmai smiled warmly. "Of course. Please, take a seat. We're working with the engineering team today. Space missions can be very stressful, and the dogs help our crew stay calm and focused." They walked together to the ship's recreation area, where several crew members were already waiting. Milo followed quietly behind them. Rayu watched with great interest as Ianmai began the session. "Today we're practicing stress relief exercises," Ianmai explained to both the crew and their Nexeri guest. She showed them how to sit quietly with the therapy dogs, how to pet them in a way that calmed both human and animal, and how to read the dog's body language. Rayu took careful notes on her datapad. "The animals understand when humans are upset?" she asked, her voice showing surprise. "Yes," Ianmai replied. "Dogs are very good at reading emotions. They can sense when someone is sad, scared, or anxious. They often try to help without being asked." As if to demonstrate this, Milo walked over to a young engineer who looked particularly stressed. The dog gently placed his head on the engineer's knee. The engineer smiled and began petting him, visibly relaxing. "Fascinating," Rayu whispered. "In all our scientific advancement, we never considered that animals could be helpful in this way." More Nexeri started attending the therapy sessions over the next few days. They came first as observers, then as participants. Ianmai noticed how they slowly began to understand the concept of emotional support animals. One day, Rayu arrived looking troubled. "Dr. Kim, I have a confession to make," she said. "Yesterday, when Milo put his head on my lap, I felt something, a warmth inside. Is this normal?" Ianmai smiled. "That's happiness, Rayu. That's the feeling of connecting with another living being who asks for nothing but friendship in return." "But we were taught that other species are simply resources," Rayu said, confusion clear in her voice. "How can this be scientifically explained?" "Not everything valuable can be measured by science," Ianmai replied gently. "Sometimes the most important discoveries are felt rather than calculated." That evening, Ianmai made another entry in her log. "Breakthrough today. The Nexeri are beginning to understand the concept of animal companionship. They're learning that technology isn't the only path to advancement. Sometimes, the simple act of befriending another species can lead to the greatest progress." She looked at Milo, who was sleeping peacefully nearby. "You're quite the ambassador, aren't you?" she said softly. "Teaching aliens about love and friendship, one tail wag at a time." Outside her window, Earth's blue sphere glowed in the distance, while the Nexeri ships floated nearby. Somewhere in those ships, she knew, scientists were rewriting their understanding of interspecies relationships, all because humans had decided, thousands of years ago, that animals could be more than just resources. They could be friends. The warning came without notice. A massive solar storm was heading straight for the human and Nexeri ships orbiting the small planet of Haven. Captain Jaho Park stood at his command station, reading the urgent reports. "The storm will hit in 4 hours," Lieutenant Kim reported. "The Nexeri evacuation ships are having trouble landing on Haven. The local wildlife is blocking their chosen landing zones. Jaiho looked at Dory, who sat alert beside him. An idea formed in his mind. Contact the Nexeri ships. Tell them we're sending help. Within 30 minutes, 3 human rescue shuttles launched from the companion. Each carried a team of handlers and their specially trained search and rescue dogs. Jaiho watched from the bridge as the shuttles entered Haven's atmosphere. On the planet's surface, rescue team leader Yoon-suk Kang and his German shepherd Max stepped onto orange soil. The air was breathable, but the wind was strong. Nearby, large creatures that looked like a mix between deer and bears were blocking the Nexeri landing zones. These animals are scared of the ships, Yoon-suk said into his radio. They can sense the coming storm. That's why they're gathering here in the protected valley. The Nexeri evacuation leader, Tae-rin, spoke through the translator. Then we cannot land. We will lose many people if we cannot evacuate them before the storm. Yoon-suk smiled. Watch and learn, he said. He turned to his team. Release the dogs. Guide formation. 6 trained rescue dogs moved forward in perfect order. They spread out in a wide arc, following their handlers' commands. Slowly, carefully, they began to guide the alien creatures away from the landing zones, just as they would guide sheep on Earth. The Nexeri watched in amazement as the dogs worked. The huge alien animals, despite their size, responded to the dogs' movements. They began to shift away from the landing zones, moving toward a nearby valley that would also protect them from the storm. Impossible, Tae-rin whispered. They are controlling these wild animals without violence, without technology. Not controlling, Yoon-suk corrected. Working with them. The dogs understand what scares the animals and what makes them feel safe. They're helping them find a better place to shelter. As the landing zones cleared, Nexeri ships began to descend. The evacuation moved quickly after that. Tae-rin made sure every shuttle was filled with people who needed to escape the coming storm. But they weren't done yet. The storm was approaching faster than expected. The rescue dog's sensitive ears picked up the changing air pressure first. Max barked a warning, and Yoon-suk immediately understood. Everyone to the ships now, he ordered. The storm is accelerating. The final minutes were intense. The dogs helped guide the last groups of Nexeri to their shuttles while the alien creatures huddled safely in their new shelter. Just as the storm's first energy waves hit the atmosphere, the last shuttle lifted off. Back on the companion, Captain Jaiho waited anxiously until every human and Nexeri ship reported safe docking. Only then did he allow himself to relax. Later that evening, the Nexeri leadership called a meeting. Tae-rin spoke for them all. Today we saw something remarkable, she said. Your animals did not just help you. They helped us, and they even helped alien creatures they had never seen before. We had always believed that advanced technology was the answer to every problem. But today we learned that sometimes the best solution is a warm heart and a wagging tail. Yoon-suk sat with Max beside him, the dog tired but content after his day's work. Dogs have been helping humans handle emergencies for thousands of years, he explained. They don't care if you're human or Nexeri. They don't care if the animals they're helping have fur or scales. They just want to help. The Nexeri leaders looked at each other, then at the rescue dogs resting around the room. Perhaps they realized it was time to rethink their view of other species. After all, if Earth's dogs could adapt to helping alien creatures on distant planets, what other amazing partnerships might be possible in this vast galaxy? Security Chief Tadwan Lee walked through the hallways of Haven Station, the new joint human Nexeri space station. His German shepherd, Luna, walked beside him, her badge marking her as an official security dog gleaming on her collar. He was heading to an important meeting with the Nexeri Council, and he carried a proposal that might change everything. The council chamber was large and bright. 5 Nexeri council members sat at their raised seats, looking down at Taiwan and Luna. First Speaker Dora, who had been present at the first contact with humans, led the meeting. Security Chief Lee, Dura said formally, You wish to propose something about station security? Tai-1 nodded. Yes, first speaker. After studying Haven's local wildlife, we found creatures very similar to Earth's dogs. I propose we start a program to train them for station security work. The council chamber erupted with shocked whispers. One council member, Vera, stood up. You want us to bring wild animals into our station? For security? Not wild animals, Tai-1 corrected politely. Trained partners. Look at Luna here. He turned to his dog. Luna, demonstrate security check. Luna moved forward smoothly. She walked around the room, sniffing carefully. She stopped at a hidden test package Tai-1 had placed earlier and sat down, pointing with her nose. Good girl, Tai-1 said, retrieving the package. Impressive, Dura said. But our creatures are not Earth dogs. They are different. True, Tai-1 agreed, but they share many important traits. They're intelligent, social, and have a strong sense of smell. We've been watching them. They live in family groups and show loyalty to their pack. These are the same qualities that made dogs perfect partners for humans. The council members talked among themselves. Luna waited patiently beside Tai-1. Finally, Dura spoke again. Your own security dog program has proven effective. The rescue mission during the solar storm showed us what trained animals can do. But this would be the first time any species besides humans has attempted to train animals as companions. That's why we want to start small, Tai-1 explained. We'll choose just 2 young creatures. I'll work with my best trainers to develop a program that suits their natural abilities. If it works, it could improve station security and create a lasting bond between our species. Vera looked concerned. And if it fails? Then we learn from it, Tai-1 said simply. Every partnership with dogs on Earth started with humans being willing to try something new. Dora was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood up. 2 months ago, I would have dismissed this idea immediately. But I have seen your dogs work. I have seen them protect, help, and save lives. He looked at his fellow council members. Perhaps it is time for the Nexari to learn this skill that humans have mastered. The ability to make friends across species. The council voted. The decision was not unanimous, but the majority agreed to try. Tai-1's program would begin in 1 week. As they left the council chamber, Tai-1 patted Luna's head. You helped make history today, girl, he said softly. Soon you might have some very different-looking cousins working alongside you. Later that evening, Tai-1 sent a message to Earth. Program approved. Nexari are ready to learn the art of animal companionship. Request additional training staff and equipment. The great experiment begins in 1 week. He looked out his office window at Haven's surface below, where the dog-like creatures roamed in their family groups. Soon, some of them would become pioneers, just like the first wolves that approached human campfires thousands of years ago. The galaxy was about to learn what humanity had known for millennia, that the best way to advance wasn't to conquer other species, but to become friends with them. Newell stood nervously in the training center of Haven Station. The young Nexari diplomat had chosen an Earth name to show support for human-Nexari friendship. Today, she would meet her assigned station dog, a golden retriever named Star. Security Chief Tai-1 Lee walked in with Star on a leash. The dog was calm and well-trained, wearing the blue vest of a station security team member. Newell felt her heart beat faster. Despite weeks of watching human-dog teams work, this was different. This dog would be her responsibility. Remember what we practiced, Tai-1 said gently. Stay calm. Dogs can sense fear and nervousness. Star is very good with new people. Newell nodded. She held out her hand like she had learned in training. Star walked over slowly and sniffed her hand. Then, to Newell's surprise, the dog sat down next to her and leaned against her leg. She likes you, Tai-1 said with a smile. This is how dogs show trust and friendship. Over the next few weeks, Newell and Star trained together every day. They learned security patrol routes, practiced search techniques, and most importantly, built trust. At first, other Nexari watched with concern as Haynul walked through the station with a wild animal beside her. But soon, they'd noticed something changing. Haynul found herself talking to Star during their patrols. She told the dog about her day, her worries, and her hopes for the future. Star always listened, tilting her head and wagging her tail. When Haynul felt stressed, Star would press against her leg or put her head on Haynul's lap, just like she had been trained. "I never knew it could be like this," Haynul told Tadwan during one of their training sessions. "The histories say that Nexari once tried to tame animals, but we only thought about using them for work. We never considered being their friends." One day, during a routine patrol, Star suddenly stopped and became alert. She led Haynul to a maintenance tunnel where they found a dangerous crack in an oxygen pipe. Haynul quickly reported it, and repairs were made before any accident could happen. The station's Nexari engineers were amazed. "How did she know?" they asked. "She could smell the oxygen leak," Haynul explained proudly. But more importantly, she wanted to protect everyone on the station, human and Nexari alike. That's what dogs do. They care. News of Haynul and Star's success spread through the station. Other Nexari began to volunteer for the dog handling program. Even Veira, the council member who had opposed the program, requested to meet Star. During the meeting, Star gently placed a paw on Veira's knee. The council member froze for a moment, then slowly relaxed. "I understand now," she said quietly. "This isn't just about security or work. This is about connection." 3 months after meeting Star, Haynul wrote in her personal log, "Today I realized something. When humans first reached for the stars, they didn't go alone. They brought their faithful friends with them. Now they've taught us to do the same. My ancestors would never believe that I call an earth animal my friend, but Star has shown me that friendship knows no boundaries, not even between species." That evening, Haynul sat in her quarters, Star's head resting in her lap. Through her window, she could see the local creatures being trained by other Nexari handlers. The galaxy was changing, one friendship at a time, and it had all started because humans had learned, long ago, that animals could be more than just animals. They could be family. Dr. Sun Hai Kang stood at the podium in the Great Hall of the Galactic Science Academy. The room was filled with representatives from 20 different alien species. They had all come to learn about humanity's most unique achievement, the art of animal companionship. The human-animal bond began over 15,000 years ago, Sun Hai explained, showing images of ancient cave paintings depicting humans and wolves hunting together. What started as a partnership for survival grew into something much more meaningful. The audience watched with great interest as she showed more recent images: guide dogs helping blind people, therapy animals in hospitals, search and rescue dogs saving lives, and pets simply being loving family members. "But why did only humans think to do this?" asked a tall, crystal-like being from the Meridian Alliance. "Other species must have had the same opportunity." Sun Hai smiled and brought up new data on the large screen behind her. "Our research shows that many species tried to control animals through force or technology. But humans were different. We offered friendship first. We shared our food, our shelter, and our trust. In return, animals gave us their loyalty, their help, and their love." The presentation moved on to show recent footage from Haven Station. Nexari handlers worked with their newly trained security dogs. The local creatures, now beginning their own domestication process, learned from human trainers. Even the station's children, both human and alien, played safely with their four-legged friends. Dr. Kane's research has become the most studied Earth document in our archives, announced the Academy's chief archivist. Species across the galaxy are beginning to understand that true advancement isn't just about technology. It's about building bridges between different kinds of life. After the presentation, Sun Hai met with scientists from various worlds. They all wanted to know more about starting their own animal companionship programs. Some had already found promising species on their home planets, creatures that showed social intelligence and the potential for bonding. But how do we begin? Asked a researcher from the water world of Aquarius. How do we make that first connection? With patience and kindness. Son, he answered. Show them they can trust you. Respect their nature while guiding them toward friendship. Remember, every animal companion on Earth, from the smallest hamster to the largest horse, became our friend because we treated them with love. That evening, Sunhai received a special message. The Galactic Council had made a historic decision. They would establish the Interspecies Companionship Institute, and they wanted her to lead it. The institute would help species across the galaxy learn the art of befriending animals. As she wrote her acceptance speech, Sunhai thought about how far they had come. Just 1 year ago, aliens had been shocked to see a dog on a spaceship. Now, they were eager to learn humanity's greatest skill, the ability to turn other species into friends. Her own research dog, a wise old collie named Sage, lay at her feet as she worked. You know, Sage, she said softly, humans spent thousands of years learning how to be friends with animals. Now we get to teach that lesson to the whole galaxy. Sage wagged his tail, as if he understood the importance of the moment. Outside Sunhai's window, the stars twinkled brightly. Somewhere out there, on countless worlds, animals were about to learn that they too could become part of something greater, all because humans had shown the galaxy that friendship knows no species. Chief Engineer Du-Yun Choi worked late in his office on Haven Station. His service dog, Nova, a black Labrador with keen senses, rested nearby. The emergency alert caught them both by surprise. Attention all personnel, the station's computer announced. Unknown vessels approaching. They are not responding to communications. Du-Yun rushed to the command center, Nova following close behind. Captain Jai-Ho Park and the Nexari first speaker Du-Ra were already there, studying the sensor readings with concern. They're Vrax ships, Du-Ra said grimly. They'd raid stations and colonies. Their cloaking technology makes them nearly impossible to detect until it's too late. As if to prove his point, the sensors suddenly showed 20 more ships appearing from nowhere. They surrounded both Haven Station and the nearby Nexari outpost. Our weapons can't lock onto them, a Nexari officer reported. Their cloaking technology confuses our targeting systems. But Du-Yun noticed something strange. Nova and the other dogs on the station, including the newly trained local creatures, were all acting unusually. They kept looking in specific directions, even when the sensors showed nothing there. Captain, Du-Yun said suddenly, I think the dogs can sense the Vrax ships, even when they're cloaked. Everyone turned to look at him. Explain, Captain Park ordered. The Vrax cloaking must create some kind of disturbance that our machines can't detect, but animals can sense it, Du-Yun explained. Look at Nova. She keeps staring at empty space, but I bet there's a cloaked ship there. Captain Park made a quick decision. Du-Yun, gather all the animal handling teams. Du-Ra, can your people coordinate with our handlers? The first speaker nodded. The station's security teams have been training together for months now. We trust our animal partners. Within minutes, human and Nexari handlers spread throughout the station with their dogs and trained local creatures. Du-Yun led his team to the engineering section. Nova walked ahead, her nose working constantly. Suddenly, she stopped and pointed. Du-Yun checked his modified scanner. Contact. Cloaked Vrax ship at these coordinates. All around the station, other teams reported similar findings. The animals could sense what technology couldn't, the subtle distortions in space where Vrax ships hid. Feeding coordinates to weapons control, Du-Yun announced. The animals are giving us exact positions of every cloaked ship. The Vrax never expected their surprise attack to fail. When Haven's defense systems opened fire on their exact locations, they were completely unprepared. Several raiders were disabled before they could react. The remaining Vrax ships quickly retreated, their perfect cloaking technology defeated by the simple senses of dogs and their alien cousins. After the battle, Du-Ra addressed the station's crew. "Today we learned something important," he said. "The Vrax relied on advanced technology, thinking it made them invincible, but they were defeated by the bond between intelligent species and their animal companions, a bond they never understood." Du-Yun hugged Nova, who had helped save them all. Around the station, other handlers did the same with their animal partners. Even the Nexeri, who once thought animal companions were primitive, now understood the true power of this partnership. That evening, as Du-Yun wrote his report, he smiled at Nova. "Who would have thought?" he said softly. "The most advanced raiders in the galaxy, defeated by dogs and their friends. Maybe the simplest solutions are still the best ones." 5 years had passed since the first contact between humans and the Nexeri. Ambassador Jaiho Park, formerly captain of the Earth exploration vessel Companion, stood in the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council. His faithful companion Dory, now gray around the muzzle but still dignified, sat beside him. The chamber looked very different from when he first visited. Now, representatives from various species sat with their own animal companions. Some had Earth dogs, while others had formed bonds with creatures from their own worlds. The Nexeri delegation included several handlers with their trained Haven creatures, which now looked as comfortable in the council chamber as any Earth dog. "Ambassador Park," the council leader said, "you are here to witness a historic moment. Today, we officially recognize animal companionship as one of the greatest contributions any species has made to galactic civilization." Jaiho looked around the room, remembering how it all began. That first meeting when the Nexeri had jumped at the sight of Dory. Now the sight of animals in diplomatic settings was normal. More than normal, it was valued. The Interspecies Companionship Institute reports that 57 species have now established successful animal partnership programs. The council leader continued. Search and rescue teams across the galaxy use trained animals. Security forces rely on their animal partners. But most importantly, people of all species have discovered the joy of animal companionship. As if to demonstrate this point, a young Nexeri child played quietly in the corner of the chamber with a creature that looked like a mix between an Earth dog and a Haven animal. The sight would have been unthinkable 5 years ago. Now, it made everyone smile. "Humanity's gift to us wasn't just the idea of animal companions," said first speaker Du-Ra, who had also been there at the beginning. "It was the understanding that different species could be friends, not just resources or threats. This changed how we see all life in the galaxy." Jaiho stood to address the council. Dory pressed against his leg, just as he had done that first day on the Companion's Bridge. "When humans first went to space," Jaiho said, "many thought we should leave our animals behind. They said space was no place for dogs or cats. But we knew better. We knew that wherever humans go, our animal friends make us better, stronger, and kinder." He paused, patting Dory's head. "We didn't teach the galaxy how to control animals. We taught the galaxy how to be friends with them. And in doing so, we helped create a galaxy where friendship between different species isn't just possible, it's natural." After the ceremony, Jaiho walked through the council gardens. All around him, he saw the legacy of that first surprising meeting between humans, Nexeri, and one friendly dog. Children of various species played with their animal companions. Security teams of different species worked together, their trained animals helping keep the peace. Scientists and their animal partners explored new worlds. "You started all this, old friend," Jaiho said to Dory. The old dog wagged his tail, gray but still happy, still proud to be at his human side. A group of young diplomatic students passed by, each with their own animal companion. They respectfully greeted the famous ambassador and his legendary dog, the pair that had shown the galaxy a better way. Looking up at the stars visible through the garden's dome, Jaiho smiled. Humanity had given the galaxy many things: technology, art, culture. But perhaps their greatest gift had been the simple idea that friendship knows no bounds, and that every species has the potential to be more than what they first appear to be.